When it comes to US politics, I keep talking about the Democratic candidacy and whether Sleepy Joe will run again. I'm telling you, he can't, he won't. California Governor Gavin Newsom is often talked up as a possible presidential candidate. He's out talking up climate change at the moment, suing fossil fuel companies on behalf of California. Have a look.
The climate crisis is, after all, a fossil fuel crisis, period, full stop. And these guys have been playing us for fools. They've been playing all of us for fools. They continue to play us for fools.
Now, Newsom's certainly getting a big profile. I asked Kristin Tate whether there are any signs that Newsom or anyone else is preparing to take on Biden.
Yes, there are definitely signs of that. The strongest of which is that many of these candidates, including Gavin Newsom, are traveling to states like New Hampshire. Why would the governor of California be in a place like New Hampshire if they weren't thinking that perhaps the opportunity would arise for himself to run for president? Yeah,
that travel itinerary will give it away, won't it? There's a long way from California to New Hampshire. Well, let's go to the president, and he got some support, some sort of double-edged support from an unlikely source this week. That is, former President Donald Trump says that Joe Biden is not too old for the job. Have a look.
Should there be an age limit to running for president?
No, but there should be a competency. I'm all for the test. You know, I took a test 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and I aced it. I got everything right. And Biden's not too old. I don't think Biden's too old, but I think he's incompetent, and that's a bigger problem.
It's the key point, isn't it, Kristin? It's not about his age. He is appearing to be incompetent.
Trump is right. Age is absolutely just a number. I mean, Trump is no ordinary 77-year-old. He's got more energy than most of the media people and reporters trying to keep up with him. You know, Chris, I will never forget Trump during the 2016 campaign. He was 70 years old, I think, at the time. And he was just remarkable. I mean, he was running circles around Hillary Clinton on election night. He was campaigning that day leading up to the night in 3 or 4 different states. He was literally campaigning up until the polls closed. The guy just has an incredible amount of energy. And, you know, compare that to Joe Biden, who just has no energy, no mental acuity. He barely ever left his basement during the last election cycle. So this is not just about age. This is about mental sharpness. And polls are showing that voters agree with that. You know, there was a poll I saw from ABC that showed the majority of voters at this point in this country do not think that Joe Biden has the mental ability and cognitive abilities to perform his job duties. Compare that with Trump. I saw a poll that said less than half of Americans think that Trump is too old. So it all comes down to competency. And yes, there should absolutely be a test for that.
Yeah, look, how anybody could suggest that Joe Biden is competent in his job and shows the ability to do his job is beyond me. The evidence is very clear. But some people are trying to turn this back on Trump, saying that he committed a faux pas the other day. Have a look.
In no condition to lead, and is now in charge of dealing with Russia and possible nuclear war. Just think of it. We would be in World War II very quickly.
Well, if we had a nuclear war now, Kristin, it would be World War III. Did he stuff that one up?
No, I mean, this was obviously just Trump misspeaking. Everybody makes mistakes. Voters realize everybody makes mistakes, and they are very forgiving. The problem is when there's a pattern, right? With Joe Biden, he's making these kinds of gaffes like every single day. It's obvious that it's not just a mistake. He's clearly having cognitive abilities. Trump, you know, he's very clearly with it. He makes a couple mistakes. Okay, people understand that.
Yeah, now we have spoken before about one of the problems, or one of the bonuses, I suppose, if you change the Democrat ticket, if you get rid of Joe Biden, if he doesn't run, is you would be able to change the vice president as well. You'd have a completely new ticket. Even the lefty media, the Democrat-aligned media, is questioning Kamala Harris. Have a look at this.
But do you think she is the best running mate, though?
She's the vice president of the United States. So when people say to me, well, why isn't she doing this or that? I said, because she's the vice president. That's the job description. You don't do that much.
Nancy Pelosi's defense of Kamala Harris, not very convincing, Kristin.
No, I know. And, politicians lie all the time. It's so easy for them to lie. But even a career politician like Nancy Pelosi can't bring herself to just lie and smile and say, oh, no, she's the best. She's great. I mean, look, other than Harry Truman, I think Kamala Harris is the United States vice president with the highest chance of actually becoming president. All it takes is one fall up the stairs to Air Force One, one bad fall, and she's all of a sudden president. And, voters understand this. They realize that this is the most important VP running mate in modern American history. So the Biden ticket has to be very careful about who they put in that position. The problem, of course, for Team Biden is that they've kind of boxed themselves in, because when Biden ran a couple of years ago for his first term, he said before he announced it would be Kamala Harris that he wanted a Black woman for that role. That really limited his options. He ended up going with Harris, and now he's kind of stuck with that, because if they try to get rid of Harris, of course, there will be charges of racism thrown around. So the Democrats at this point are kind of panicking, and they realize that if they want to get rid of Kamala Harris, the only really real way to do that without being called racist or alienating Black voters is to just get rid of Biden and Harris together and usher in a new ticket. But in order to do that, Biden has to be willing to step down. And at this point, it's just unclear if he's willing to do that.
Got to do that. They've got to do that for the sake of the free world, Kristin. Someone's got to have a stern word to Joe Biden when he's awake. Thanks so much for joining us. I'll catch up next week.
Thank you very much, Chris.